Hi everyone, welcome to Insight. Today we're going to be talking about a new piece by Tarik O'Regan and Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. But first of all, we've invented a new drink which we're calling a Tequila Spritz. So, per drink, we're going to put in 1 ounce of tequila. I'm making 3, so it's going to be 3 ounces. We're going to add in our mixing glass with ice, per drink, 1 ounce of dry vermouth. And this brand is a favorite of Tony and mine for martinis as well, Carpano, really good. We're going to stir that for 30 seconds. Then we're going to strain that into glasses over ice. Then we've got Framboise Lambic, which is a raspberry beer from Belgium, and we're going to add 2 ounces of that to each of the glasses. Give each of those a quick, gentle stir. And then we're going to garnish them with some lemon peel.
Yum.
There we have it, a brand new drink.
Well done. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's going to go down really easily.
Very fruity.
Nice for a summer day.
Yep.
So here we are, end of the season, a very exciting program for a couple of reasons. Of course, Beethoven 9 is always an epic work to perform. But we're beginning the concert with a commission, and the first one we've done in a few years, and the first of several commissions over the next 5 seasons. This one by Tarik O'Regan. We just performed his piece, Rye, a few weeks ago. And this piece, Trances, sort of belongs to the same trilogy that Rye belongs to. So when we were thinking about composers, what inspired you to include Tarik in this group of commissions?
Well, I've known him for 20 years this fall, which is kind of amazing. Mm-hmm. When I was a freshman at Cambridge, he was one of my supervisors, somebody who taught in small groups.
Yeah.
And it was 20th century music, so it was my favorite subject. And I was this sort of super intense 20th century music geek who knew every piece that he was talking about. And we kind of bonded over that. And then in 2019, I was in Manchester conducting the Halle Orchestra for the first time. And by complete coincidence, they were opening a new rehearsal space. They converted a church into a rehearsal space in Manchester. And they played Rye, the piece that we played a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of Tarik's music, and I just thought it was really brilliant, really bright, and really approachable. And I thought that's a really good piece for Jacksonville. So I thought that he'd be a really great person to include in our set of composers. And it's nice because we were able to play that piece, Rye, a few weeks ago to kind of set everybody up for this new work.
Yeah.
Which just arrived. I just got the score a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. And it's really good. It relates to the other piece in that it reflects his heritage. So his mother is Algerian and his father is Irish, hence the first and last name, being a very unusual combination. And he spent a lot of time in Algeria and Morocco as a child. And a lot of the music that he's written in this trilogy is a kind of memory of what he heard, like the kind of pop music. Rye means literally, it's a word that is used for pop music in North Africa. It's a kind of catch-all term for a music that absorbs lots of influence. And he compares Rye with the idea of blues in America, music that's based out of oppression of some kind, but then grabs every influence that's around it. So Rye was also the name of the first piece in this trilogy. This piece, Trances, sets out to explore that music through the lens of memory over time, which I think is a really fascinating idea, that we hear music and it stays in our mind, but over time the haze of memory changes what we remember. And then to try and actually write a piece that captures that sense of memory and that haziness is a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
So it's got 3 movements, each trying to remember a specific kind of memory in music. Very easy to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's also full of interesting rhythms. It's got a big allegro in the first movement that's in 5/4. So you never quite know where the beat is, and it sort of wrong foots you. It's also got very appealing melodies. It's got a huge percussion section, a couple of different kind of drums that are common to North African music.
Yeah, and a lot of mallet instruments as well.
Yeah.
In addition to being really accessible from a melodic standpoint, and very rhythmic, which is engaging. It's very coloristic, and I love the very the harmonies. They sound familiar to the ear, but very fresh. This doesn't feel like something that is derivative or something that could have been written 40 years ago.
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah. So it's going to be great fun.
Yeah. And then after the intermission, we come back with Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. We last did this my first season here, which was your first full season as music director. And, everybody knows the piece. So, what can you, besides it being a great piece to listen to, what do you come to hear and experience, and how can it be a fresh experience for those who have heard it, a dozen times in their life? It's epic, and it's narrative in some ways, and it builds throughout in a way that was very pioneering at the time.
So it's important to remember that as much time separates the 8th Symphony from the 9th Symphony, 12 years, as separates the 1st Symphony from the 8th.
Right.
So it's completely different from everything that Beethoven did before. And the main reason that it's different, as you mentioned, is that it introduces text. So as soon as you bring words in, and in this case, it's Schiller's Ode to Joy, which Beethoven had been obsessed with since he was a teenager. The Ode to Joy was very much an Enlightenment text, and that was the era in which Beethoven grew up, and these ideas were new and exciting. And the idea that all men are brothers and that we seek joy to come together really resonated with him as a kind of quasi-socialist, for want of a better word. I mean, Beethoven believed that all men were brothers, to quote the text, and that all men were equal. And he landed himself in lots of difficult situations when he was in salons in Vienna with the aristocracy, because he felt that he was their equal, and he would often make social gaffes because he couldn't accept that he was second place in the class structure to them. You immediately bring in a level of semantics and of specific textual meaning that had always been absent from symphonies. And even in a piece like Beethoven's Third Symphony, the Eroica, which clearly has a narrative arc and is about something, is about a hero, it's still quite abstract because there are no words.
Right.
But the words in the finale force us to kind of come to some kind of conclusion about what the symphony means in terms other than abstract music.
Right.
And for me, that's a journey from the first movement, which I feel is one of the most powerful depictions of evil that we have in music, of darkness, maybe of a hero who's corrupt. Remember, this is long after Napoleon had revealed himself to be a despot. So Beethoven's whole concept of heroism had really been turned on its head. But in the first movement, there are moments when we just feel like we are staring right into the face of implacable evil. And then the second movement, the same thing. So we have these first two movements that are deadly dark and vicious and violent. And then we have a third movement in which we get some relief, one of his most beautiful, transcendent slow movements. Two kinds of music. First of all, a kind of wind chorale that begins the music in B flat major. And then a second theme in 3/4 in D major, which will be the key that we reach transcendence in the finale, of comfort, restoration, beauty. And then after the third movement, something absolutely extraordinary happens. This unbelievably dissonant, unpleasant sound, the most unpleasant thing that had ever been written in music, deliberately designed to hurt and offend the ears of the listener.
Chaotic.
We hear this unbelievably violent chord that disrupts the beauty of the third movement. And then we have this very strange recitative that sounds like it's from opera, but it's got no words, just in the cellos and basses.
Almost commenting on the material which is recycled from the first three movements.
Right, yeah. And then we sort of wonder, why are we hearing a recitative without words? And it's kind of stuck. We don't know what's going on. And then the ugly music comes back, but this time the bass interrupts and says, no, not these sounds. Let us sing something more joyful. And the recitative comes back, but now it's got words attached to it. And it's as if the word is solving the problem of what the music meant before.
Yeah. Like it was the only natural extension to the problem that he set up. Yeah.
So then we have text. And it's the text of the Ode to Joy, which describes how all men are brothers, how joy is the spark that we search for and we yearn for. And the music is transformed from something that was demonic and evil through beauty into something that is transcendent and joyful in a very earthy way, in a very kind of human way. Yep. We have Turkish music, faux Turkish music, which Beethoven would have associated with bands and happiness and evening frivolity. We had this whole idea of everybody together singing a theme that I think he wrote to be a kind of earworm. You know, he was trying to write a kind of national anthem for humanity that everybody would remember and that everybody would feel. You know, it's so funny. Beethoven was terribly jealous of Haydn's success when he went to London and had all the London symphonies performed and the Creation performed. He was terribly jealous of Haydn for writing the theme that would become the German and then the Austrian national anthem. And I think he was really trying to outdo Haydn in writing not just an anthem that would be a national anthem for one country, but a national anthem that would be something for all humanity. So he set out to write a tune that would get stuck in your head, and that would be a kind of symbol of wild optimism. But paradoxically, that's what makes the piece so irresistible, because here we have something that is completely virginal and ecstatic in its optimism, and its absolutely unsullied, unadulterated belief that all men can be brothers, all mankind can be brothers and can be one and can achieve things together spiritually. And that makes the piece irresistible, because we need that kind of optimism today, and we have so little of it. And it's one of the reasons why I love spending time with this piece, because one goes away with this kind of childlike belief that there is something that unites all of us. And the fact that it's done with this glorious music that refuses to let you think anything except what it says by its incredible emphasis and its incredible joy, is one of the reasons why it's so special.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's very powerful, and I really hope you all can join us to hear such a powerful performance of this and our piece in the universe of putting new music into the repertoire. Yeah. So please join us Friday and Saturday evenings at Jacoby Symphony Hall, wrapping up the season. Thank you very much, Courtney.
See you there.